man, Brett Garcia here. And about a half hour ago, we said, hey, let's do an interview. So here we are, man. Definitely impromptu. Thank you very much for taking some time out of your day. Does not go unnoticed, man. Very much appreciated. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get talking.
My pleasure, man. It really is. I love talking to ball players and prospects and guys like you who have a story. And, since I've been doing this for a couple of years, the stories that I hear are just unbelievable. And, the work ethic that I end up hearing with a lot of you guys, man, just the unwillingness to quit and just getting after it and staying with that dream is really motivational, especially for somebody like me who coaches and young kids and stuff like that. So I know you just kind of told me off air, but give everybody your story, I guess, from teenage years playing in California all the way up to how highly regarded you were, as far as going up to school or getting scouted, and then how that ended up and where you ended up.
Yeah, so playing through my teenage years, I was at Valley Christian High School. It's a small school, probably about 500 kids. Not a lot of notable alumni. I mean, Kirk Sarloos from TCU, he's about like the biggest names come out of the school. But yeah, so not a lot of looks after about my freshman year. I kind of sprouted up a little earlier my freshman year, got a lot of attention, then it kind of faded off a little bit. Towards senior year, I played in a fall classic, and that's where I ended up doing pretty well. Got the eye of UC Irvine, ended up committing there. Played 2 years there. First year I redshirted. Second year was the COVID year, kind of played a little bit, but got to the point where I just wasn't in the role that I was kind of envisioning. Talked with the coach. It was kind of a similar situation as my roommate. He was kind of saying, like, I had a conversation with him, and he said, you're not really the guy that we were looking for right now. And I said, that sounds great. I'll go my way. You go your way. Best of luck. So we ended things pretty well. And then I went to the JUCO leagues. I'm down there, the OEC, which is a pretty competitive place. And at 2020,
the JUCOs are no joke. Like there's some good baseball being played there.
Yeah, 100%. And especially down in Southern California, a lot of things were shut down. The OEC was one of the few places that was still playing. So I ended up going to Cypress College, where there's a lot of good baseball history right there, a lot of great coaches. And playing there just kind of changed my trajectory already.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of attention from some MLB scouts and a little bit of attention from some bigger name schools. But eventually I decided, like, Baylor's the place I want to go. I really liked Coach Rodriguez there. So I ended up committing there.
Now, how old are you at this point when you committed to Baylor?
Shoot, probably about 20. I was about 20, turning 21.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So commit to Baylor. Played my first year there. Loved it. It was great. Coaching change. Kind of in between those 2 years that I played there.
No more Rodriguez? Did Rodriguez leave?
Yeah, Coach Rodriguez left, and then Coach Mitch Thompson took over.
Okay.
So then I played 1 year under Coach Mitch Thompson, and then decided, I kind of want to do something with my grad year, and jumped in the portal and ended up at Abilene Christian. I actually never even heard of Abilene Christian until we played them at Baylor.
Yeah.
And they played us really well, and I wanted to play, kind of at a mid-major that had a little bit more opportunity for me. And I went over there, loved it. Kind of changed my perspective on baseball as a whole. And then from there, I kind of missed the opportunity to get drafted. I was a little bit of an older player. I think I was 24 entering the draft.
Yeah.
So it just kind of didn't work out for me. And I was about to hang him up. I was probably about a week into hanging him up.
Now not to interrupt you, but you were obviously draft eligible. You were on the board, right? You were out there to be taken for anyone that showed interest.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was out there. I actually got a bunch of calls from scouts and stuff. And they were kind of throwing around the 10th round. They were kind of throwing around some like later picks and stuff like that, just due to my age. And so I was kind of half expecting to go, half not.
Yeah.
Just because of my age. So when it didn't come through, I was a little disappointed. Kind of was like, put in all this work and nothing really showed. But again, had some coaches call me, had some scouts call me and kind of encourage me and say, hey, look, if you still love baseball, there's still a way to do it, and that was the independent leagues. Yep. So I got a few calls from some places, all respectable teams. I ended up deciding to go to Fargo, the Red Hawks. And so I played at the Red Hawks for the remainder of the season.
It's funny interrupting you again, but it's so funny where these independent leagues are, because like Billings, Montana, Fargo, North Dakota, and I love it because baseball fans get to go watch really good baseball in towns where they ordinarily never would. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's what's so cool about it. Because did you guys you had a lot of fans in Fargo probably, right?
Yeah, no. And in fact, when I was showing up, I was kind of like thinking to myself, what am I doing? Like, I'm in Fargo, North Dakota. No offense to like there's nothing there.
Right.
coming from Southern California all the way to there, and so
Dude,
I was
that's
kind
a
of just like
legit.
spinning a little bit. But then playing indie ball, playing there, like seeing the fan base like get engaged, and there was a lot of pride in the team and
Yeah,
everything. I just kind of fell in love with that place, and
yeah,
I really love Fargo now. Like I love the American Conference. I love the or American Association. I love the Frontier
yeah.
because actually, yeah, I re-signed with that team and then ended up getting in a trade and going to Ottawa. Same situation where I was kind of like, how do I have to get? I live in Texas now, so I had to drive all the way up to Ottawa. So I was like,
You're
how is
everywhere.
this going?
This is a while. This is a roller coaster, man.
Yeah, it is. So another one of the situations where I get traded, I was kind of like this kind of sucks, but you know what? Like I'll play another year, see how I like it. I kind of hate moving around, but go where God calls me. So
Yeah.
I got the call out, and I went out there, started playing. Really enjoyed my time. Really enjoyed my team. It's a great organization up there, a great league, and yeah, and eventually like got called into the coach's office and got the call to the Blue Jays. So
So a similar story to Dylan as far as getting the call, right? Uh,
yeah,
did he get now? When did this happen for you? Because his was fairly recent. When was this for you?
yeah, fairly recent as well. It was
Okay.
actually probably 3 to 4 days after his call.
Okay. Okay.
I just was like, I was actually going to go hang out with my buddies. We were going to go shoot some pool. And then I get a text from my coach because I was at my host family having a dinner.
You were
And
up
he
in
said,
Ottawa.
like, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So this was on an off day. So
Okay.
Monday,
Yeah.
I get a call or I get a text from my coach and he says, hey, like, come meet me in my room. I'm at the team hotel. I'm like, all right, like never a good sign to get called into the coach's office on like an off day.
Yeah.
But so I go in, expecting kind of the worst. And he goes on about this like new guy we're picking up and how great he's going to be for the team and how there's limited roster spots. And I was having a decent year. So in my head, I'm kind of like, did I just get traded? And he just kind of kept going on for about like 10 minutes. And I'm just like kicking myself, like, man, just tell me the news,
Yeah.
like quit playing with me. And so he ends it with like, he's like, you're probably like wondering why we're even telling you this. And I was like, yeah, kind of. And he
Yeah.
was like, well, I'm just here to tell you, man, you don't play for us anymore. You're no longer an Ottawa Titan. I'm like, shoot, I was just getting close with the guys, everything was going my way. And then he kind of hits me with yeah, the Toronto Blue Jays just picked up your contract, and I was like, whoa, that's a big change. I'm having a
So
lot more fun now.
how did that feel, man? Hearing that news, and we obviously, I think Dylan, the way I found Dylan was a quick scroll, and I saw the video, and I fell in love with the whole story. How was that feeling when you heard that? Like after now it's a little different with you because the grind is like he's 22, you're 25. All that work you've put in, all those different changes, man, everywhere you've been, and to finally hear that news. Listen, no matter what happens at this point, okay? Let's optimistically say we get all the way up to the show, brother, right? But
Yeah.
you can never now live down the fact that they said that to you and that they picked up your contract. So how did that news feel? I mean, it had to be like, were there teardrops, man? Was it emotional?
It honestly hit me, and I was in shock. Like I couldn't even react. Like I was kind of just like, wow, okay, that just happened. It didn't even register with me for a little while. I kind of shook and like probably shook my coach's hand 3 or 4 times, gave him a
Yeah,
couple hugs,
yeah, yeah.
and I was just like, I don't know what to do now, like because I'm in Ottawa, and so my brain kind of went to business mode, like. How am I going to get there? Where am I going to go? Like all these things started like spinning. Definitely like to the point where like I went and hung out with my friends. They kind of gave me like a grand opening. Like I was walking into the place, they gave me like applause and stuff
That's
like
so
that.
cool.
And I'm
Oh
like
yeah, man.
dabbed everybody up, got to spend the evening with them. But then like drive home, I was just kind of like I don't know, it was kind of just giddy, just
Yeah.
like
No,
like
I know
laughing a
exactly
little
what you mean.
bit, singing songs, and I was just super happy.
Bro, you're 25. You're just getting started. You know what I mean? You're just
Yeah,
getting warmed up. And now once you get to that organization and they start showing you some things you've never seen before, and now you have all this high-tech equipment, the sky's the limit. You don't, you don't know where you're going to end up. You know what I'm saying? How are you?
yeah.
How are you throwing right now? Because you said you were having a good season up in Ottawa, which man, I didn't even know there was baseball up in Ottawa. And you were up in Ottawa. How are you pitching right now? I guess in the transition going down into rookie league complex.
Yeah, so the transition, I mean, I've only had one outing. It was kind of rough, but that's baseball. I just got a little bit ahead of myself. But with everything being said and done, my bullpens are looking good, my cash play is looking good. In the end of the day, it's the same game. You can speed yourself up, you can slow yourself down. A lot of things can happen, but as a pitcher, your job is to throw the ball across the white thing. So that's it's really simple.
First time I ever heard that, and I absolutely love that you just said it because that's exactly what it is. Throw the ball
Yeah,
against the white thing.
yeah, it's really not that complicated. A lot of people speed themselves up. I mean, if you look at my track record, I have plenty of like incidents that aren't really great, but I worked through those moments and kind of came out with a better perspective. Just reminding myself that baseball's fun, pitching is fun. Enjoy the moment. A lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves. I do that all the time. But if you just remember yourself, or remember that you want to be there, you can be nervous, you can be excited, and it's okay to be those things. But it's also like it's your job to go out there and throw the ball. So like enjoy it, enjoy the moment, notice that you're nervous, and go execute your pitch.
You're human, and that's a very human answer,
Yeah,
and being outside of the comfort zone is the scariest thing to most people, but that's the only way you're ever going to advance. So you
yeah,
walk into that complex the first time. Well, yeah, it didn't have the best outing. It's brand new to you, right? Now you'll settle in a little bit and get familiar with everything. I read when I was looking at your bio quick, it says relief pitcher. And you
hmm
don't see that often on a bio because you're a pitcher, right? And you've been a start have you been a starting pitcher most of your career?
here and there. In JUCO, I was a starter. Tried to be a starter at UC Irvine. Kind of started a little bit back and forth. I've kind of been a spot guy.
Okay.
But in the end of the day, like I put relief pitcher. I love the pen. I
Okay.
think there's a lot of negative connotation behind being a pen
Dude,
guy
well,
now.
totally, and that's why I was asking because it's ballsy and it's also really cool,
Yeah,
to embrace that. I'm being dead serious because
yeah,
guys almost look at it. You're right, like a negative connotation, like oh, that's amazing. I've had a ton of relief pitchers on, just recently, like Winkler was just on, and Jesse Biddle, guys that were really good MLB relievers who earn a really
yeah,
good living, man. And I think it's smart to maybe just go in and focus on that, so that you can master that craft. If you can
yeah,
be a 1 or 2 inning guy and master that craft, where all these other guys are always, they're trying just maybe just for that namesake alone. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people forget that like if you ever watch the World Series, like most of those games and most of those like series are decided based on the pen. I mean, if you have a shallow pen, you lose your games. Your starters can only give you 5 to maybe 7 innings most of the time. I mean, anything past that's just a miracle. So like you got to rely on your pen. And a lot of times the pen, if you don't have a strong pen, you give it up in the end of the day. So having some pride with your pen guys, just like looking to serve your starters, looking to serve your team any way you can. There should be a lot of pride behind it. It's a job. It's a specialty.
100%, man. And in today's baseball, getting 5 innings out of a starter is looked at like I mean, these guys used to go 7, 8, 9. Now 5 innings with a guy, and a lot of times they just keep them in. Maybe they're throwing too many pitches just to get a win, to register the 5 innings. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, there was the day
Yeah,
where a guy would throw complete games are just so rare now. So it's a good time to be in the pen. It's the best time
yeah,
to be in the pen, and that's not going away because with all the injuries and TJ and all the different stuff that's going on, clubs value any pitcher and every pitcher, and they want to make sure there's less of that. And they're going to look at a direct correlation between throwing too much and injury. We could argue about that for days, but
yeah.
that's where they're at right now.
And
Tell me about
kind of what you were touching on before, with the game getting younger and younger and younger.
yeah,
There's a lot of kids that are coming up and they're fantastic with their skill. Like they throw 100-mile-an-hour baseballs. They're good athletes. But the problem is when you're younger, a lot of times you don't have the muscle development or the strength to be able to throw that for long term, and you get a lot of injuries. So
yep,
when I'm talking about the age stuff, obviously, wish them well, and I hope that they do get that strength and they are able to have long, happy careers throwing 100 miles an hour. A lot of times we sacrifice the health of the athlete
yep.
for just a short amount of performance. So it kind of comes into like you need some reliable guys who can go in there, get some outs, especially when you got younger arms that maybe not experienced, maybe feeling something one day. You got to be able to kind of be a little bit more mobile with your pen. So
Yeah, no, listen, I love everything you're saying. And I get really frustrated watching 13, 14, 15-year-old kids or even younger, tell me that they got a wicked curveball or something. You know what I mean? When they don't even know how to throw it and they're doing more
yeah,
damage. They're doing more damage than anything. I don't
yeah,
care if they can throw it or not. It's like you just said, it's the muscle memory. And if you're trying to throw a certain way, man, and you don't have those muscles where they're supposed to be, that's where you're going to get hurt. It's refreshing to talk somebody like like you with the attitude you have, and just you look at it as just so basic. Dude, you love baseball, right? You said you were getting ready to hang the cleats up. What happened there? How close were we? Like, what happened?
Well, I actually did kind of hang him up for about a week. Like I
Okay.
just kind of sold out. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start working out. I was going to go down the fire route. And even in this off season, I ended up going down and getting my EMT license and working as an EMT
Yeah.
just because I was like, if this year didn't go the way that I was hoping, I was just going to probably sell out for the fire service and try and like go serve the community that way.
Smart
But
dude having a plan, man.
yeah, exactly. And at 25, you got to start making some
Sure.
decisions. So I was kind of up in that like that mindset where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start getting a career going just in case. But yeah, I mean, like I kind of gave it up a little bit. Actually, a former coach, James Leverton, he was a pitching coach over at Baylor. He ended up calling me up and then giving me the advice of saying like, hey man, you got the talent, you got what you need, or you got what it takes to be able to make it. Just give it some more time. If you still love baseball, if you have the love for the game, go play indie ball. And so he was kind of the lead guy who called me up and kind of gave me the advice and kind of talked me back into picking up a baseball again. So
I'm really,
yeah, it was kind of one of those
really glad he
situations.
did. Really glad
Yeah.
he did, and I'm sure you're really glad he did. What is
Me
your
too.
what is your pitch arsenal, man? Like what are your 3-4 pitch guy? Like what is your arsenal?
Yeah, so I'm predominantly a 3-pitch guy. I'm working on a 4th pitch. I actually have a baseball in here real quick. Let me just grab one.
Sure, I'd love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I predominantly go I'm 4 seam. I have a curveball. I spike the curve right
There
there.
it is. There it is.
Kind of live off the north south axis a little bit more, and then I got a slider that's kind of gripped as a 2-seam offset,
Yeah.
and then it's a little bit more of a gyro, but it works really well at the down and out part of the zone. And then my new pitch is my changeup, and I've kind of nicknamed it the wind pitch just because you make a W with it. These 3 fingers stay off the ball, and you pinch it with these 2, and
Really?
you just yank it down. Yeah, and it's gotten some good action. It just needs to be a little bit more consistent before I start flashing it in the game.
How much are we taking off with the change to the fast?
Shoot, sometimes it's a little harder, but usually it's around 10 miles an hour.
Oh, okay. So that's a big dip on a change. But,
Yeah, and it's a little bit more of like a splitter spin.
Okay.
Yeah, the splitter's pretty much like a changeup.
Yeah, okay, that's what he was saying. And he was like, "There's no, people try to name all their pitches different things, and the curve is nasty. It's I'm gonna have to go back and now and look at some video of because I love curveballs, man. They're just the break in them and what they can do. Like guys like Kershaw and things like that. I can just it's like an art form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also feel like the craft of pitching sometimes the heat. There's too much that goes into how hard you can throw the ball, and I think eventually, as crazy as it sounds, even not even eventually now, guys they'll catch up to a 99 mile an hour fastball, especially second or third time through the lineup.
Yeah.
So you need to have action, right? I mean, tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on that.
No, 100%. I always say that everybody can time a fastball. I mean, if you give enough at bats to anybody, they're going to start smacking around a ball. Like you said, 100 miles an hour. Eventually, people just hit 100 miles an hour. It just goes a little further than a 90 mile an hour fastball.
Yeah.
So you kind of get in trouble if you just sit fastball. A lot of times when I have those bad outings, it's because I can't land that off speed for a strike. And so then I start defaulting fastball. Yep. And so they start timing it up. And I usually get a lot of ride and a lot of swing and miss on my fastball, but only if I can land that off speed for a strike. So I think mixing it is huge. I mean, you can set up your whole outing can kind of change if you can land that off speed for a strike or command it just to the point where it gets the hitter thinking. Because if they start seeing spin and you're always throwing fastball and then you try and throw spin and it's always a ball, they're just going to start spitting on spin. And then when you throw a fastball, they're just going to take it for a ride.
Couple more questions, man. I'll let you carry on with your evening. First, was there any guys that are playing in the league now that were there with you?
In the league right now, there's a lot of guys in the minors right now. I played with a couple guys that are in the league right now, like Matt McLean at the Reds. I played high school ball with him, and then
did you really? Yeah.
Yeah, not on the same high school team, but travel ball. Yeah. And then Andre Palante, he was the Friday guy at UC Irvine my freshman year.
All right, yeah.
So I learned a lot from him actually. So like he's a good mentor for me. So
yeah, man, that's cool, man. What advice would you give? So my 11-year-old playing travel ball, he loves pitching, and he's one of those kids. He's got a great arm. He's probably got a better arm than I do, and he's 11. What advice do you give these kids? I mean, we just talked a little bit about the curve and not, and wait until the muscles develop a little bit. But just if you're trying to teach how to pitch, right, the basics, the fundamentals, without the parent coaches saying, just throw it over the plate, just play catch. What in 30 seconds, what would be your advice to young pitchers?
The biggest thing I always say is have fun. I mean, it's pretty easy. A lot of people always say it. But if you're up there and you're starting to like get scared and get tight, you're not going to have as good of a performance. You're not going to have a good time throwing. So it's like have fun, be loose. In the end of the day, like pitching's timing, not as much as it is strength. I mean, there's a lot of strength components, but as long as you get your arm up on time and you fire at the right time, you're going to do great things. So I think it's just very simple.
And what does Brett do? Say you're up there, you walk a guy, now you're 3-0 in the next hitter. You start really feeling it, right? You're getting stressed out. You're like, man, like, how do you overcome the adversity? Some guys look up at the sky. Some guys spit. Some guys do some kind of weird.
Yeah.
What do you do? What are some of your tips for ways to, kind of get out of that mental funk if you're not having the best outing?
Yeah, a good reset. Two things. I usually just think about like, hey, you're one pitch away. No matter what, you're always just one pitch away from making a really bad outing into a really good outing. So it's like, you're always one pitch away. Just throw a fastball if you need to. If it's a curveball, it's a curveball. Whatever you need to do, just make that execution or just execute that pitch. The other thing that I like to do is I always like to look into the crowd. I just like to notice random people in the crowd just because it's like they're enjoying the game. I'm enjoying, like I should enjoy the game too. I should be having more fun than the person 3 rows up just sitting there watching. So like just enjoy the game, look at those people, be happy where you're at, and just like dissociate for a second. And then you can get back and you take away all that pressure and all that vapor lock focus.
I really like that, man. I like that when it's almost like, the guy who's doing public speaking and he's picturing the crowd naked or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And seriously, you got to do something to make yourself laugh a little bit, and I like looking at the crowd and in your case with the crowd, it's got to be a cool feeling knowing that they're there to watch you pitch, and it's kind of like, man, this is the opportunity I'm in. So just go have fun with it,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look out there and you see guys who are in their 40s remembering the times that they played, and just imagine how much they would give just to be back in your shoes, in your cleats, standing on that mound throwing. Like they would give anything to be out there, and you get the opportunity to. You get the opportunity to, and so it's like have fun, embrace the moment. You're exactly where you want to be, and now have fun and make a pitch. Get out of it.
Love it, man. What's your favorite board game?
Favorite board game? Shoot. Me and my family, we don't play a lot of board games because we get a little too competitive. I'd probably say Life.
Life? All right.
That's always been a fun one for me.
How about ice cream flavor?
Favorite ice cream? I'm a big mint guy, so I love the mint chocolate chip.
The mint chocolate chip is killer. That's good stuff, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure. I truly do appreciate you, man.
No, I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me.
Have a great night, brother.
Right on. You too.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.